Hello, friends. Welcome back to DeepdiveX Recap. Tonight, we're diving into a story called Henry's Crime. But let me ask you this. What would you do if you were thrown in prison for a crime you never committed? The story begins on a cold, gloomy night. A lonely stretch of road in New York. At a toll booth, we see a man working the night shift. He's handsome, grim-faced, and blank. His eyes wander without emotion. The glowing road lights, the passing cars, none of it touches him. To Henry, this is either just a job or just another way to kill time. Finally, the long night ends. His shift is over. He walks home, the same ice-cold look plastered across his face. At home, his wife serves him breakfast. They greet each other, but even their words feel frozen. Debbie, his wife, suddenly asks, "Henry, do you still love me?" Henry replies, "Of course I do." But his face doesn't change at all. Their conversation reveals Debbie wants kids. She craves a family. Henry, he loves children, yes, but doesn't want to have his own. Dafan. Just then, the doorbell rings. Debbie doesn't even bother to see who it is. Henry opens the door, and there stands Eddie, an old friend. With him, another man, Joe, sick, vomiting, barely able to stand. They drag him inside. Eddie tells Henry they had plans for a baseball game, but Joe's too sick to play. He asks Henry to join in to take Joe's spot. But this isn't just a baseball game, something else is brewing. They get into the car. As Henry asks about the game, Eddie casually tells him to pull over at a bank ATM so they can grab cash for beer. Inside the car are Eddie, Henry, and two other guys. When they arrive at the bank, Eddie tells Henry, "Stay in the car, keep the engine running." Henry notices something odd. The wires are hot-wired straight into the ignition. This isn't a regular car. Did Eddie steal it? And wait, are they about to rob this bank? Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Eddie and his crew storm inside, but they're sloppy, unprepared. Within seconds, the security alarm screams. Employees scatter in panic. The moment Henry starts the car, a guard pulls out his gun. Henry, completely clueless about what's happening, raises his hands. Calm, polite, and just like that, the innocent man is arrested for a robbery he never even knew about. Dragged to interrogation, Henry refuses to give up names, maybe out of loyalty. Maybe because the only one he really knows is Eddie. The trial comes quick. In court, the judge slams down the gavel. Henry is sentenced 3 years in prison for a crime he never committed. Our meek, silent protagonist doesn't resist, doesn't even complain. To Henry, living in a cell feels no different than living at home. Cold, empty. Now inside, he meets Max Kahn, a seasoned inmate in his 50s, sharp, relaxed, almost at home behind bars. The two exchange greetings, stories, and slowly they become friends. Max lays down the rules of prison life, and so begins Henry's strange new journey. A man punished for a crime he never wanted to commit. The mess hall, the kind of place where hope goes quiet. Over bowls of stale soup, Max drops a line that cuts through the chatter. The real crime is not committing to your dreams. He turns to Henry and asks him what his dream is. Henry shrugs, says he doesn't even know if he's ever had one. Max smiles like he's found something strange and precious, a seed. "Imagine a life without dreams," he says. What would that be? 6 months later, Debbie comes to the prison. The air between her and Henry is still frozen, polite, distant. She's not there for forgiveness. She's there to tell him she's going to marry Joe, flat then soft. You remember Joe, the jittery guy who vomited at the job, the one who helped pull the robbery. Henry smiles and says congratulations. It's a small, automatic kindness that hides a deeper ache. Another year passes. Henry's beard has come in thick, not from ruggedness, but from months of empty rooms and quiet grief. Max is at the center of the cell block again, shaving guys, trading stories, holding court. Henry seems resigned, but not broken. He's not the type to wallow, then parole. Short, Henry walks out like a man who's forgotten how to step into daylight. He wanders to Debbie's old place, not because he expects a welcome, but because it's a compass he still remembers. Joe opens the door, casual, empty of guilt. He treats Henry like a visitor in the house Henry once called home. Debbie serves him a beer, calm and composed. The punch comes. She's pregnant. Joe thanks Henry, sincere, simple, for never giving his name to the cops. Henry answers with a bitter, almost surprised laugh. He didn't know Joe's name to give. Now Henry is homeless, unemployed. Max, the old philosopher, had taught him something dangerous. If you do the time, you might as well commit the crime. It sounds like bravado, but there's logic behind it, a perverse practicality. Henry finds himself standing again in front of the bank, the very place they'd hauled him in months ago. As if fate were nudging him, a car clips his hip and sends him off balance. That's when Julie Avanova shows up, a local actress known from every Buffalo commercial and now rehearsing The Cherry Orchard at the theater. She scolds him for blocking traffic, but there's kindness in it. She wants to make sure he's all right, and she's worried about getting sued. Frank, the security guard, recognizes Henry instantly, the old bank robber. Julie, oblivious at first, sips her coffee. They walk to the cafe so Julie can grab a quick cup before rehearsal. Henry sees her on TV in his head, the Buffalo ad, a flicker of normal life he's not part of anymore. In the cafe bathroom, while Henry's got the sink running, he glances at an old newspaper clipping taped to the tile. During Prohibition, a tunnel once linked the theater to the bank vault. Beat. Let that land. A secret passage, a buried route right under their feet. The idea settles over Henry like a fever. That's the moment the seed becomes a plan. Henry goes back to the prison to tell Max, "I figured out my dream." He says it plain. He wants to rob the bank. Max laughs at first, incredulous. Who tells someone in jail that their dream is to rob a bank? Jail is his home, Max says. He won't come out just to pull another job. Henry pushes back. He says he can't spend his life inside. He won't die that way. He argues for purpose, for one last chance to be the author of his life. His words land. Slowly, stubbornly, Max comes around. The philosophy that once started as a half-joke becomes a plan. Two of Max's old pals, men who know the rhythms of lockups and locks, sign on. They begin to sketch the edges of a scheme. Old men with new fire. The stage is set. A forgotten tunnel, a hungry idea, and a handful of desperate men with nothing left to lose. In Buffalo, the plan starts to take shape. Henry and Max step into the same little cafe where Henry once noticed that old newspaper clipping. Max studies the map and realizes it's 80 years old. The city has changed, the bank has changed, nothing is simple anymore. Their first stop is the bank itself. Max relies on his old conman skills, and with his charm, he discovers the truth. The tunnel still exists, buried and forgotten. Next, they head to the theater. Max pretends to be an aging performer from 30 years ago. Henry introduces him to Julie, and with her help, Max manages to tour the entire place. Backstage, he confides in a manager who knows about the tunnel. The man admits it was sealed years ago, and now it sits behind the dressing room of one of the performers, Lopakin. Inside the auditorium, Henry takes a bold step and asks Julie out on a date. They go for Chinese food, and for the first time, Henry begins to feel alive. The man who once walked through life emotionless now experiences something real with Julie. Meanwhile, Max decides Henry has to be part of the play in order to access the dressing room. He convinces one of the actors to step aside, and suddenly Henry finds himself cast in The Cherry Orchard. The director is harsh and constantly berates Julie, but Max believes Henry is a natural. Henry proves him right, taking on the role with surprising strength. Behind the curtain, they smash through the wall of Lopakin's dressing room and finally reach the tunnel. But their excitement fades quickly when they discover it's filled with sand. Now they must dig it out, and that requires another set of hands. Henry turns to Joe, who is drowning in booze and misery. He offers him a chance to be part of something bigger. Joe agrees, and soon the three of them are digging together. Max and Joe working deep in the tunnel while Henry balances rehearsals on stage. The routine feels steady until one night Frank, the security guard, confronts them. He admits he's been watching, following their movements around the bank. They try to lie, but Frank already knows their secret. Instead of turning them in, he asks to join. Frank's reason is heartbreaking. Years ago, when his wife was dying, he begged the bank for a loan. They turned him away, and she passed. This heist is his revenge, his only chance to make the bank pay. The night begins with heartbreak. Julie, torn apart by emotions, watches as Henry, our so-called sweetheart, steps forward to offer his condolences. But then he drops a bombshell. He's leaving on the very opening night of The Cherry Orchard, and without Henry, the play can't even begin. Julie explodes. She screams at him. She begs him to leave her alone. But Henry, he has a darker plan. While the audience is lost in the drama of the stage, Henry plans to break into a bank vault during the intermissions, right under everyone's nose. Enter Eddie, the only man who knows how to crack a vault with heavy welding gear. He's a mess, sure, But when it comes to breaking steel, Eddie is the key. Together, they sneak their way in. The heat of the torch, the crack of the metal, and finally, the vault gives way. Between scenes of the play, Henry is an actor under the spotlight. But in the shadows, he's a thief, stuffing sacks of cash into the Lopakins room. That's when things turn ugly. Eddie snaps. He pulls a revolver on Max, screaming for Joe to get the money to the car. Eddie wants it all for himself. But he underestimated the con man's fire. One brutal punch, and Eddie's down. The team races off with the cash, their adrenaline still burning. But Henry, he isn't done. In the silence of the car, he orders the driver to stop, because something inside him shifts. It's not the money, it's Julie, the woman he can't let go. He storms back into the theater, just as the final scene plays out. Max bursts on stage, declaring his eternal love. Julie listens, trembling as Henry lays everything on the line. They share one last kiss, and the curtain falls. But this story isn't just about crime. It's about love, risk, and self-discovery. Outro call to action for DeepdiveX Recap. If this story pulled you in, don't just stop here. Hit like, smash that subscribe, and dive deeper with me on DeepdiveX Recap, because every movie hides a secret, and I'll be here to uncover it for you.